Shalom everyone, it's called Torah, it's Tuesday at noon, and we will discuss today Parashat Teitzei, when you go out. The Torah describes a very interesting, I would say, of a situation, that it's not necessarily something that it's so pleasant to talk about, it's not something that we sometimes would like to talk about, but the Torah, as a Torat Chaim, as a living Torah, immediately want to attack or to address. When the Jewish people will go into the land of Israel, they will need to go on a war. They will need to act in an aggressive way. Sometimes I would say even in a brutal way, in order to defend themselves and also in a way to be able to conquer the land of Israel. When you go on a war, when you leave your comfort zone, when you leave your study hall, when you leave the synagogue, when you leave the rabbinic authority and you go to the war, and you go as a soldier, you put on your uniform, you get your rifle in your hand, or you are a pilot with an F-16 that has so much power in your hands, it may change you. I remember vividly, as a side note, when I was in the army, in the Israeli Defense Force, first time we received the rifle, we also were getting a class, not about how to use the rifle, but rather what's the purpose of the rifle. And I remember that like it was yesterday, the commanders will tell us, we're giving you a very powerful tool in your hands. You can now take lives. Use it wisely. Use it to protect yourself or others. Use it to prevent taking lives. Don't just use it in order to show that you have the power. And the same thing with any other ammunition that exists in the army. But nevertheless, going back to the Torah knows that especially in the ancient times, the brutality, the aggressiveness of people in war was something that it's really so hard for us even to imagine. But things like that happen. And the Torah would like to set for us what is the Torah perspective on a battle zone, on a war. So one of the things that we have in a war is obviously that we capture people. We have captivity. And the Torah describes an interesting situation. If what's happened if among this captivity you see a beautiful woman, and you have a desire for her, you would like her to be your wife. What should be the Torah perspective about it? So the Torah, in a way, I think, gives us an unbelievable wisdom. On one hand, the Torah says, if you want to take her, you can, you may. That's, in a way, in a very undiplomatic way to say it, it's the spoil of the war. But at the same time, if you decide to take her to be your wife, you need to give her a month, 30 days, to concentrate on herself for many different reasons, to mourn for the loss of her family, to digest the fact that she's going out to be Jewish and she's going to be married to the soldier who conquered her land. And you, the soldier, after you finish with the war and you go back to society, you yourself need to think about what kind of marriage do you want to have. Is that really the wife that you want to have? A wife that basically will become your wife only because of that moment of desire that you had during your war against her nation? Basically, the Torah says to the Jew, hey, wait a second. At the time of desire, you wanted this wife. You wanted this woman to be your wife. But is that the basis for your marriage? Think about it. We're not telling you not to marry her. But don't marry her because of the wrong reasons. A desire is something that can be great in marriage. It's something that we'll probably encourage in marriage. But this is not the only factor. This is not the only indicator for good marriage. Good marriage is not only about the desire. It's about a common language. It's about common values. It's about common goal and purpose. A marriage that is based only on desire will not last for a long time, says the Torah. By the way, it's very applicable to almost everything in life. Things that are based only on one thing, on a desire, on a want, on will, will not last for a long time because that feeling will fade away. And then, what is left? The Torah says to us, in a situation that you are not in what I will call your safety zone, your comfort zone. You go to a war, you go outside, you go to college, you go to be part of the working place outside of the yeshiva environment, the synagogue environment, the Jewish community environment. You need to know that the desire is going to be there. The want to do things as to execute your power, your superiority, your energy will be there. But don't forget and don't lose sight of what is really the main value. How do you create legacy for lifetime? How do you don't let just the desire to motivate you and to lead you, but rather you are the one to lead the desire and channel it to the proper channels? This is the message of the Torah, this week's Parsha. You, the Jewish people, are going to transform into a regular nation that go on a war, that going to have banking industry. You're going to have everywhere. You're going to be involved with everything. But the most important thing is, who is leading who? Are you being led by the desires? Or are you leading them in a godly and wisely way? This is the question of the week. Thank you.